diamonds save a country from economic chaos, or is that just a Western fantasy? What if we told you that Botswana is ditching its sparkling crutch and betting on something far more powerful? Meet Duma Boko, a leader who's not afraid to burn bridges, flip the script, and turn Botswana into Africa's new heavyweight champion. But how on earth is he going to pull it off? Let's find out. Imagine this: a country blessed with so many diamonds that it could rival a celebrity's jewelry box. A nation glittering with wealth beneath its soil. Yet somehow, it's the same old story. The riches flow, but not into the pockets of its people. Instead, they're siphoned off by foreign conglomerates, leaving locals with little more than the dust of their once precious stones. You see, the West has played this game for decades, swooping in, extracting resources, and leaving behind a mess for the locals to clean up. But it looks like the game is changing, especially if President Duma Boko has his way. No longer content with being the world's favorite diamond quarry, Botswana is writing a whole new narrative. Not just a new chapter, no, this is a full-blown rewrite. Duma Boko's rise to the highest office couldn't have come at a more opportune time. As African nations increasingly question their long-standing unequal ties with Western powers, Boko's unapologetically pro-African stance is resonating deeply, not just in Botswana but across the continent. His ascent represents more than just a change in leadership. It signals a shift in ideology, a shift away from dependency towards self-reliance and African empowerment. During his fiery inauguration speech, Boko made his intentions clear, and he didn't mince words.
We have a crisis of our reliance on diamonds. Diamonds are not doing very well. Our revenue generation is therefore down, and down by huge percentages. We have a pending situation where the agreement between ourselves and our partners in DBS has not been signed, has not been concluded. It is a matter of urgent necessity.
Why should we keep enriching others when we have the potential to be masters of our destiny? To many, it was a rallying cry. To his opponents, it was a declaration of war. This was no mere rhetoric, but a bold announcement that Botswana was tired of being treated as the world's glittering piggy bank. Boko knows that talk is cheap. Action is what truly matters. And while the West has been content to exploit Botswana's diamond wealth, Boko is already looking beyond the shiny stones. His vision? Transform Botswana from a diamond-dependent economy into a diversified, self-sufficient powerhouse. The question is, how does he plan to do it? First, he's starting with bold reforms in the mining sector. Under his leadership, Botswana plans to renegotiate existing contracts with Western companies, ensuring that a significant share of the profits remains within the country. Instead of being merely an exporter of raw diamonds, the country is gearing up to invest in local processing and value addition, creating jobs and retaining wealth. This move alone is poised to inject billions into Botswana's economy, previously lost to foreign intermediaries. Second, Boko's administration is keen on expanding beyond diamonds. Agriculture, tourism, and renewable energy are at the forefront of this diversification strategy. Botswana, with its vast tracts of arable land and abundant sunshine, has the potential to be a leader in sustainable agriculture and solar energy. Imagine a country where diamond mines are no longer the lifeblood, but just one of many thriving industries. By investing in solar farms and agritech, Botswana aims to turn its harsh, sun-drenched terrain into a source of sustainable growth. By the end of this video, we will get to agriculture in detail as well. Anyways, then there's tourism, another area ripe for revitalization. Instead of catering exclusively to high-end Western tourists, Boko is pushing for a more inclusive model that also attracts African travelers, thus keeping tourism revenue circulating within the continent. He's launching initiatives to promote Botswana's rich cultural heritage, unique wildlife, and breathtaking landscapes, aiming to make the country not just a safari destination, but a cultural hub for all Africans. "We've been sitting on a gold mine of untapped potential," Boko remarked in a recent interview. It's time we started using it for our benefit rather than exporting our resources and importing poverty. Boko's vision also includes redefining Botswana's international alliances. In a world where the West's grip is loosening, he's turning his gaze toward the East and African neighbors. Botswana is exploring new trade deals with China and BRICS nations, seeking partnerships that don't come with the suffocating strings attached. But unlike traditional agreements that leave African countries at the mercy of their foreign partners, Boko wants mutually beneficial deals. At the same time, he's emphasizing regional collaboration within Africa. Boko believes that African nations can achieve true independence only if they work together. To that end, Botswana is spearheading projects to bolster intra-African trade, improve regional infrastructure, and enhance cross-border cooperation. The message is clear: Africa for Africans, first and foremost. But let's be real, this isn't going to be a walk in the park. Challenging the status quo means making enemies, especially among those who've long benefited from Botswana's subservient role in the global economy. The West is watching, and they're not going to be thrilled about losing their golden goose. Transitioning from a resource-based economy is no easy feat, and Boko's government faces significant hurdles. There are still powerful interests within and outside the country who would prefer Botswana to stick to the old playbook. But Boko is betting on his people's desire for change, a gamble that just might pay off if he can deliver on his promises. In a continent where many leaders have been content to line their own pockets, Boko's bold stance offers a refreshing alternative. It's not just about the diamonds, it's about dignity. It's about rewriting the script and finally letting Botswana and Africa be the stars of their own story. But can Botswana truly thrive without its diamond dependency? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. President Duma Boko believes the answer lies not in the ground, but in the hearts and minds of Botswana's young people. For years, the nation's youth, its most valuable resource, has been left on the sidelines. But Boko sees them as the key to unlocking Botswana's future, and he's determined to put them at the center of his ambitious plans. The statistics paint a grim picture. Youth unemployment in Botswana hovers around 25%. But this isn't just a number. It's the story of a generation filled with untapped potential, eager to contribute but stifled by a lack of opportunities. We have the talent, the drive, and the ambition, Boko stated during a recent youth forum. What we need are the platforms and pathways to turn that potential into reality. So, what's his plan? It's about more than just job creation. It's about transforming the way the country thinks about its youth. Boko wants to give young Botswana the tools, skills, and opportunities to build the nation from the ground up, turning them into the architects of their futures. One of the cornerstones of Boko's strategy is to revolutionize Botswana's tech landscape. Instead of merely consuming foreign technology, he wants Botswana's youth to be at the forefront of creating it. To achieve this, he's spearheading initiatives to establish technology hubs in major cities across the country. These hubs will serve as incubators for innovation, providing resources like coding boot camps, mentorship programs, and funding for young tech startups. But it's not just about learning to code. It's about fostering a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. By investing in these tech hubs, Boko aims to transform Botswana into a regional tech powerhouse, where young people aren't just following trends, but setting them. His vision is for young Botswana to develop solutions that cater to African markets, solving real problems on the continent. Boko isn't stopping at tech. He's also reimagining agriculture as a high-tech industry, driven by the energy and creativity of young people. Agriculture has long been seen as an old-fashioned sector, but Boko is determined to change that perception. He's introducing programs that focus on agricultural technology and innovation to attract young talent. The government is investing in training young farmers to use drones, smart irrigation systems, and data analytics to optimize crop production. By modernizing agriculture, Boko is not only addressing food security, but also creating lucrative careers for the youth in an industry that has been traditionally overlooked. His aim? To make farming cool and profitable encouraging young Botswana to see agriculture as a viable and rewarding career path. While Botswana is known for its diamonds, Boko wants the country to become known for its craftsmanship. Instead of exporting raw stones, his administration is investing in vocational training programs that teach young people the art of diamond cutting, polishing, and luxury jewelry design. These programs are designed to equip the youth with specialized skills that are in high demand globally, turning them into artisans who can add value to Botswana's natural resources. It's not just about creating jobs. It's about fostering a sense of pride and craftsmanship. By mastering these skills, young Botswana can secure well-paying, sustainable careers that don't rely solely on raw resource extraction. Beyond agriculture and diamonds, Boko is focused on cultivating a new generation of entrepreneurs. To do this, he's providing support through startup grants, business mentorship, and access to markets. Young innovators are being encouraged to launch businesses in diverse sectors, from renewable energy to digital services. By removing bureaucratic red tape and providing easier access to funding, Boko's administration is creating a fertile ground for young entrepreneurs to flourish. This isn't just about job creation. It's about building a self-sustaining economy where the youth drive growth through their ventures. But it's not just about jobs and skills. It's about giving young people a voice in the country's future. Boko is committed to ensuring that the youth are active participants in decision-making processes. He's launched forums, town halls, and digital platforms where young people can share their ideas, voice their concerns, and contribute to national policies. Our young people are not just the future, they are the present, Boko emphasized during a youth rally. By engaging them in the political and economic spheres, he's ensuring that Botswana's next generation has a real stake in the country's progress. Boko's vision is clear. Botswana's youth are not just beneficiaries of change, they are the drivers of it. By investing in their education, skills, and entrepreneurial spirit, he's betting on a future where young Botswana are the leaders, innovators, and creators who will propel the nation forward. Botswana's journey to reduce its dependency on diamonds won't be easy, but with a generation of ambitious, empowered youth at the helm, it's a future that's not only possible but within reach. While President Duma Boko is laser-focused on transforming Botswana's future, his actions are rippling far beyond the country's borders. This isn't just about uplifting Botswana's youth or diversifying its economy. It's about setting a bold precedent for the entire continent. The question is, can Boko's unapologetic Africa-first approach inspire a new wave of independence across Africa? Here's where things get truly interesting. In a world where African nations have long been pressured to play by rules set by powerhouses in Washington, London, or Brussels, Boko is daring to rewrite the playbook. He's refusing to let Botswana be yet another pawn in the global chess game where African resources are extracted under the guise of partnerships and development aid. Boko's stance is clear. Botswana, and by extension Africa, doesn't need to bow to Western demands to thrive. His message to the West is blunt and unapologetic. We're done playing by your rules. This defiance isn't just ruffling feathers. It's causing real discomfort among Western powers who are used to Africa acquiescing to their demands. For decades, the West has cloaked its interest in Botswana's diamonds and other resources behind promises of aid, development, and mutual cooperation. But the reality? It's been about keeping Africa dependent, ensuring resources flow one way, out of the continent. And now, with Donald Trump back in the White House, there's a renewed push to tighten America's grip on African economies. The goal? To extract as much value as possible while giving as little in return. Boko's response to this pressure? A firm and resounding, thanks but no thanks. He's making it clear that Botswana will no longer be a playground for foreign powers to exploit at will. And this defiance isn't just a statement for Botswana, it's a rallying cry for other African nations to reconsider their own relationships with Western powers. Boko's actions are already sparking conversations across the continent. If Botswana can stand up to the West and prioritize its own interests, why can't others? His emphasis on investing in local talent, creating industries that empower the youth, and refusing to be bullied into submission by foreign powers is inspiring leaders in other African nations to rethink their strategies. This isn't just about economic independence, it's about reclaiming sovereignty. For too long, African countries have been dictated to by outside forces, but Boko is showing that it's possible to flip the script. The message he's sending to the rest of Africa is powerful. We don't need to rely on the West to build our future. We have the resources, the talent, and the willpower to do it ourselves. Of course, challenging the status quo comes with its risks. Western powers aren't going to sit idly by while Botswana and other African nations start asserting their independence. There will be attempts to undermine Boko's efforts, be it through economic pressure, diplomatic isolation, or other means. But if Botswana succeeds in becoming a self-sufficient, youth-driven economy, it could trigger a domino effect across Africa. Other nations may follow suit, breaking free from the shackles of dependency and charting their own courses toward prosperity. In a continent that has long been seen as a place for extraction rather than innovation, Boko's unapologetic stance is more than just refreshing, it's revolutionary. His actions aren't just about building a better Botswana, they're about inspiring a continent to dream bigger and stand taller. The question now is, will other African leaders have the courage to join him? Because if they do, Africa could finally start playing by its own rules, on its own terms. In countries like Burkina Faso, under Traoré's bold leadership, we're witnessing a pushback against foreign interference and a resurgence of pro-African policies. These leaders are not just talking about independence. They're taking concrete actions to reclaim control over their resources, prioritize local economies, and invest in their people. Traoré, much like Boko, is focused on harnessing the power of his nation's youth, ensuring they have the skills, opportunities, and platforms to thrive without depending on Western handouts. What's happening now is nothing short of a continental awakening. From Burkina Faso to Botswana, a new generation of African leaders is rising to say, enough is enough. They're no longer willing to be passive players in a game rigged against them. Instead, they're actively rewriting the rules, ensuring Africa's vast resources benefit its own people. This isn't just about a few isolated leaders, it's about a collective shift in mindset. The likes of Boko and Traoré are proving that with courage, vision, and unwavering commitment to their people, it's possible to break free from the chains of dependency that have held Africa back for so long. And yes, there is real hope for Africa. The domino effect is already in motion, as more leaders are inspired to prioritize African solutions for African challenges. The unity among nations, whether it's through new alliances, trade agreements, or collaborative projects, signals a future where Africa can finally thrive on its own terms. Imagine a continent where young people are no longer leaving in droves to find opportunities abroad, but are instead building their futures right at home. Imagine African nations that are no longer at the mercy of foreign powers, but are negotiating from a position of strength. Africa is changing, and the tide of history is turning. The question is no longer whether it can happen, but rather how fast and how far these changes will spread. With leaders like Boko and Traoré at the helm, the future looks brighter than ever. The big question now is, can the West do anything to halt this wave of African empowerment? Let's be honest, Western powers have always been quick to interfere whenever Africa starts to assert itself. Whether through economic sanctions, diplomatic pressure, or covert operations, the playbook hasn't changed much over the years. But here's the catch. This time, Africa is no longer playing alone. The game has changed. For decades, the West has managed to keep African nations divided, using tactics like debt traps, puppet leaders, and conditional aid to maintain its grip. But something remarkable is happening across the continent right now. Leaders like Duma Boko in Botswana and Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso are no longer isolated voices in the wilderness. Instead, they are becoming part of a growing continental movement that's uniting African nations like never before. Here's the reality. While the West might try its old tricks, pressuring governments, imposing sanctions, or sowing division. There's a new, unshakable resolve among African nations to stand together. As leaders embrace this spirit of solidarity, they're realizing that unity is their most potent weapon. By forming stronger alliances, whether through regional blocs, trade agreements, or even joint military collaborations, African nations are creating a fortress of self-reliance that's becoming harder for the West to penetrate. The recent pivot towards BRICS and increased partnerships with non-Western countries like China and Russia are proof that Africa is diversifying its alliances, reducing its dependence on traditional Western powers. The days of divide and conquer are over, Traoré recently proclaimed, emphasizing that an attack on one African nation is now seen as an attack on all. This new era of African unity means that the West's tactics of isolating and exploiting individual countries are losing their effectiveness. It's not that the West won't try to meddle, it will. But here's the twist. Africa is no longer willing to play the role of a passive victim. Leaders are investing in their own people, building infrastructure, fostering local industries, and empowering the youth to be the driving force of the continent's future. In the past, Western nations could dangle the carrot of development aid and expect compliance. But as African nations unite, they're realizing they don't need those carrots anymore. By trading with each other, sharing resources, and investing in African-led solutions, they're creating a new kind of independence that can't be easily shaken. The West can try all it wants, but the tide has turned. Africa is no longer asking for a seat at the table. It's building its own table. And with each passing day, that table is getting bigger, stronger, and more resilient. The more the West pushes, the more African nations are finding common ground to resist. In the end, it's simple. A united Africa is unstoppable. The West might throw a few hurdles in the way, but with leaders like Boko and Traoré leading the charge, Africa is finally taking control of its destiny. And this time, it's doing it on its terms. Do you think we are to see a new Africa in the upcoming years? Will Trump's return change anything? Let us know in the comment section. What can stop Africa from changing? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.